Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm particularly delighted to be here to share some of our thoughts on the role of women in sustaining peace and development. We might know that 18 years ago, on the 31st of October 2000, the UN Security Council adopted the landmark resolution 1325 on women, peace, and security, which acknowledged the critical role women play in preventing and resolving conflicts, negotiating peace, participating in peacekeeping and in humanitarian response, and post-conflict peace building. This resolution calls for women to participate fully in all efforts to maintain and promote peace and security. The resolution also requires the UN to solicit and take into account all viewpoints on gender issues in order to increase the role of women in peace and security activities. It also states that parties at war take special measures to protect women and girls from gender-based violence, particularly rape and other forms of sexual abuse. Another study in 2015, over 156 peace agreements by New York International Peace Institute, showed that when women are involved in peace processes, there is a 20% increase of an agreement lasting more than 2 years. According to the UN Women Statistics, women still constitute fewer than 10% of peace negotiators globally, and only 3% of signatories to peace agreements. It states that between 1990 and 2017, which is a span of 27 years, women constitute only 2% of mediators, 8% of negotiators, and 5% of witnesses and signatories in major peace processes. Well, we'll take it a step at a time. So it's encouraging when we have frameworks that are put in place with the hope of being very effective in time to come. In October 2018, the UN presented the annual report on the implementation of the Resolution 1325, 2000. And some of the achievements in Africa are that several African countries have embraced Resolution 1325, and 16 of them have relevant national action plans put in place. And as Dr. Justina has also told us, Rwanda has taken this literally and has 68% pass mark. The African Union has also made significant efforts to integrate women into its own security, crisis response, human rights, and peace-building efforts. The organization also trains women as peace mediators, election observers, and gender advisors. And the same thing goes for the ECOWAS, which is a West African integrated union for West African countries. In January 2014, the AU appointed its first special envoy for women, peace, and security, Benita Diop, who has helped coordinate Africa's efforts in implementing 1325. Both the AU and the UN have increased the number of women military and police officers in peacekeeping missions. They have also set up units that provide protection to civilian victims of abuse. Similar units that shelter victims of gender-based violence also exist in Somalia, for example. There are also more women who have become politically active and relevant continent-wide, and this has resulted in more democratic institutions that are representative of all groups in society, women, youth, minority groups, and so on. Hence, peace and national prosperity are likely to be achieved in the near future. Nigeria, which is where I come from, is a country with over 250 ethnic groups and is one of the most populated and rapidly growing urbanizing country in Africa. We have a population of 193 million, and this is with high concentration, again, in the urban areas. Typically, half of these are women. The country's land borders spread across borders with Benin, Cameroon, Chad, and Niger Republic. And since independence in 1960, the country has experienced various forms of administrative delimitation along ethnic lines from 3 regions to the present 36 states and Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. The country also recognizes the demarcation of 6 geopolitical zones for power sharing and infrastructural development, and even distribution of wealth. So Nigeria as a country with ethnic, religious, and cultural diversities has had its share of challenges of securing peace and stability. After independence, we did have quite a number of very strong women personalities. We had the Queen Amina of Zozo, who ruled over the kingdom of Zaria Kingdom. We had Ransome Kuti. We had Margaret Ekpo. We had Efunore Tinubu. All these were women who were very influential in politics because they had either had strong political backgrounds or were rich or were able to have influential power amongst the people and mobilize people for politics. And these women have been able to place men in positions of power over years to come. If we take Efunore Tinubu, till today, we have the Tinubu family still being a very strong political arm in Nigeria. So since 1999, however, when the country returned to civil democracy, after many years of military rule, our rich diversity of values in terms of ethnicity and language, religion and culture, as well as economy, have become bait for manipulation of the common people by the ruling class. This has resulted in a multiplicity of violent intra- and intergroup conflicts in different locations, not forgetting the Nigerian Civil War that occurred for 30 months from 1967 to 1970. Therefore, Nigerian women and girls, no doubt, have been the ones paying the big price of all these conflicts. They are misplaced, they are not given proper shelter, they don't have access to education or health, or in fact, environments that would prosper their upbringing and make them realize their full potential. Therefore, we have concentrated on improving women's rights by empowerment, economic empowerment, because we believe that when the woman is financially and economic independent, then she can take decisions, informed decisions on what she wants to do with her life. And this economic empowerment can either send her to school, where she would have a formal education, or can make her a businesswoman, where she would earn her own financial independence and still take decisions whether to go into politics or not. So we have also developed different policies. We have the administrative policies, like the National Gender Policy, which was developed to bring gender perspective into all aspects of policy planning, implementation, legislation, and addressing systematic inequalities between women and men in our society. And this policy is spread across all the ministries, departments, and agencies of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for proper implementation. So every ministry in Nigeria has a gender desk. So whatever policies that ministry is throwing up would have to take care of gender issues and put them in the mainline focus. Other policy documents are national policy on development of small and medium enterprises. We have an estimated 37 million micro, small, and medium enterprises. And again, half of that are businesses owned by women. So we need to have a policy that would be able to take care and provide the enabling ecosystem for them to thrive as businesses and contribute to economic development. We also have the National Social Investment Policy, which is something that this administration just started, and we have 4 aspects to it. We have the homegrown school feeding program, which encourages children to go back to school, not just girls, but children to go back to school. We have the Gender Enterprise Economic Program, which is giving microfunds to women who are already in business. We also have the Empower, which is building skills for our graduates and for those who have dropped out of school so that they can have technical and vocational skills to be able to do different aspects. And lastly, we have the conditional cash transfer, which is giving a minimum token amount to the poorest of the poor families so that they can live and be able to sustain some kind of livelihood for them to be able to build capacity. So typically, in any society, women have inherent competencies. We are caregivers, we are nurturers, we are moderators, we are negotiators. These are things we do every day in our respective homes, whether we know that we're doing it or not. And these are skills that we need to be able to bring to the fore and do the proper negotiation for us to be able to play our role in politics for sustainable peace and development. Because on the other hand, we are the ones that suffer when there's no peace, when our children have no place to go, when our children are being killed, and when our husbands are making rash decisions. We should be able to talk to them and be able to understand what is going on. Inclusive policy formulation, women put at the table when policies are being formulated is one area where you have a balance. When men sit and are doing this, I think they're all full of winning hormones. Women have a balancing hormones. It's a win-win for women. So when policies are being drafted, instead of it just being, I want to win it all, women would say, let us all win it all because we're all together. So that's a role women need to bring out to the table and be able to negotiate. Community developments for sustained economic growth. Women always think about everything is for us. Men always think it's mine. So when you have community projects, when you have community agreements, when there are community development issues going on around your communities, women will campaign, will advocate, whether they want it or not. And once it's put in place, women would want to keep it longer because that's the role that they have to play, because they understand that if everybody is a part of it, then there tends to be the tendency for us to have some peace. Mobilizer of resources for change. Now, if there's anything you want done and you give that task to a woman, she will be able to find the resources to be able to execute that challenge. So whether you're campaigning for a missing child, or you're campaigning to stop a war, or you're campaigning for peace in your community, women have inherent capacities to be able to mobilize resources to be able to hold that campaign. And she doesn't need to go around begging. Once she holds a placard on her own, believe me, before she gets to the next door, she has people already following her, because all our common goals are usually the same. And I think for Africa, our continent is very unique when it comes to issues, because we're a developing continent. We still have a long way to go. We still have to be able to bring women to the fore. For example, if I use Nigeria again as an example, we were 5 female ministers, now we're down to 3. Fortunately for us, one of us went to become the Deputy Secretary to the UN. One of them is the Minister of Finance. The previous one was the Minister of Finance, and now again we have another Minister of Finance. And I think this is the 3rd female Minister of Finance that we have. I was a Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, now also supervising Ministry of Women Affairs. In the National Assembly, we have 22 out of 360 Senate members. In the Senate members. In the House of Assembly, we have just 29 out of 700 and something. So it's still a dip. We're still very low. I mean, we're not represented at all. There's still a lot more for us to be able to do to bring ourselves to the fore, because we have the capacity and we have the ability and we know we're able to do it. So I want to thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Abubakar, for your inspiring speech. Dear guests, I would like to invite our moderator once again onto the stage, please, for the second session of this panel. Mirella Sola.
Great. Now, are you still interested to know more about women? It's never too much. Okay, great. I am really, really pleased and honored that I am going to introduce you with another panel of these women that have done and achieved a lot in life, and they serve as role models around the world, and this is quite international. So the first one will be Veronica Tan. She is the Chief Operational Officer of Success Resources. That is one of the biggest companies in the world in the events industry, and she's such a great role model as well. Also, I would like to invite on stage Ganira Pasayeva. She's a member of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, Azerbaijan. And Shiny Bursu Onsal, founder of Believe on You, an NLP coach. She comes from LA, but guys, she is originally from Turkey. So welcome home, Shiny. And Denise Senol-Sert, Associate Professor of International Relations Department. From LA to come and feel part of this women empowerment. You are one of living examples, a woman that left everything behind, and probably you broke some rules as well. And because you were searching for something beyond just being identified as a woman.
Yes.
So, if I describe in a way that you are looking for peace and sustainability inside you, so you can convey to other people in your environment, also serve as a role model for women that are looking more, are searching for more in life.
Yeah. So it's really, really interesting to be here, you guys, because I am originally from Turkey, Anamur, Mersin, that's where I'm from. But like Mirella said, I left everything behind in the year of 2010 just to pursue my dreams and follow my heart. So I moved back to Los Angeles, California, where I was a student years ago. So the long story short, it was my search for the peace and development inside of me. And I needed to have my own answers. And after I found my own answers, I decided to own the mission to empower especially other women, to empower them, to show them a way how to do it, because we think that we are limited by our current situation, current resources, current whatever we know about life, but that is not the reality. We are actually so much bigger and better than what we have right now, what we are right now. That was my search and that was my discovery. And right after that, I can tell you, today I live my dream life. I live in Los Angeles, California, and I get to travel back to my home country to, give speeches. This is wonderful. And I do believe that as women, if we are searching for peace and if we are searching for development in all areas of our lives, we need to start within. That's what I am going to say.
And I can see how excited you are to come back to your home country as a
Absolutely.
With a victory that you made it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful.
It feels great.
And Veronica Tan, I believe that you have some credits, not only in Shiny stories, but in many women's stories around the world, because you have changed lives of many women around the world, not only with your work, and giving them faith and believe in better, but also believing on them that they can do more. So tell us a little bit more about your work. How do you bring this hope to other people, and how do you inject this hope to other people? Because I think this is directly linked with sustainability, to bring more hope to the world.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me here. I come from Singapore, where it's just a small red dot. My company name is Success Resources, and I'm a business owner. And our mission is about changing lives globally, individually, one at a time, through education. Now, what kind of education? We provide a platform where we run seminars, conferences, events, bring in the world's best leaders, experienced teachers, gurus who have done it, and share with people who want to know how to do it. Because we believe if they can do it, so can we. Education, we believe that education is the greatest equalizer, that those who don't know will now know, and those who don't have will now have. So we host seminars, as like what Shani said. When she was in search, what did she look for? She needs to go to a place, not the formal education, because she has it, the number of degree and masters that Shani will have is unbelievable. But what is lagging is now the search for what can I do more, what can I become more. So a platform like ours provide her this discovery opportunity for her to continue to discover who she is and what she wants to be. So they learn through coaches, through mentoring, that you can slowly, let's say, discover what is hidden within. And we spoke about this in the earlier platform that, you know, women are natural leaders. We are leaders of our own self, and it's all hidden within, and we need to really understand how to bring the best out of yourself, unleash that power within you, discover the greatness that we all have in us. And this is what I do all over the world in 30 countries, 71 cities, hosting seminars from size of 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000, recently 12,000 in Brazil, 26,000 in Moscow.
So 26,000 people in one room. Can
Yeah.
you imagine this? That's amazing. And thank you, Veronica, for what you do. And we have Denise here as well. She comes from the academia world. And we gave some statistics, Professor Denise, that tells a lot how hungry women are to learn and be educated. What would be your perspective, first in the field of education, but also I know your background is very, very much to empower not only women in academia, but you have big credentials in the migration field, and I would love to know more perspective on this field, because I'm also very interested to understand how much is done to support not women in general, but also women who migrate, who are looking for a better place in their life.
Thank you. Well, the major reason I am here is actually to talk about other people's achievement, basically the migrants. Migration is something that really empowers women, although we speak about it in the daily language from more of a populist negative terms. It is really a phenomenon that lets women to find their own potential in a rather forced environment. Turkey currently hosts, as you might know, 3.6 million Syrian refugees. Therefore, we are the largest, we are the host of the largest refugee group in the world right now. 45% of these women are, these people are women, and it is almost 1.6 million. And of this 1.6 million, 1 million are women below age 24. So therefore, we know how education gets very important here. Around 500,000 of these are kids from age 0 to 9. So therefore, access of girl childs to education is very important. Turkey has been achieving a lot in that sense, but we still have a long way to go. Unfortunately, in certain cities, it is better policies are employed to work on this than others. But we have to have a full-scale policy of managing the access to education of all these refugee kids in the very near future as they are growing up in Turkey.
Well, as I said, I'm really interested and I admire the work that you are doing, because I have just finished my research thesis, in a PhD research thesis, and it's about migrant women and domestic violence. And what I have found out is that migrant women are at a higher risk to be victims of domestic violence. Does your work involves this kind of projects as well to help migrant women to rebuild their life, and if they are victims of domestic violence, what can we do to help and support them?
Well, the most important thing is to be able to create actually regular means for people to migrate, because many of those women who are subject to domestic violence at workplace are usually irregular migrants who are staying in the host countries without a status. Therefore, they usually do not have the means to go and report this violence and, you know, reach some kind of a justice at the end. Most of the time, they want to be invisible because they don't want to deal with the authorities. I think a major way to deal with this issue is for states to create more humane means for people to be able to be mobile in the world, rather than building walls and, you know,
Yes,
putting
I totally agree.
gas
Yes.
on the people along the borders. That's the first way to start.
Yes. And Shiny, to come back to the topic that we discussed earlier in the panel and to connect with what Professor Denise was saying, that, yeah, we need to create more cohesion and to not create walls, and we need more connection. But
Yeah.
also, you coming from a culture like Turkey,
Yeah.
and going out there and flying and change your name to
I
from Ursul to Shiny one.
Yeah.
It takes courage, you know.
It does.
And my question is about change. How we can bring change. The change starts from within, and sometimes when we find it hard to change, to accept change and to see, because sometimes we want to see the change happening. What we do, we change, we cut our hair, we change our name, or we do some extensions. We just change ourselves to believe that I am a different person. I want
Yes.
to change. And then you see that, wow, I'm changing within as well.
Exactly.
Now you come here as a changed person, but you see that still in your home country is, again, the same topic, the same debate. Are women getting enough support? Are women getting enough ambitions and courage to change their lives for better? Or are they happy as they are? So what is your perspective? So is it okay for women to not have high expectation? Or should we encourage women to have higher expectation, to not be passive ambitious, but to be higher ambitious, to bring great contribution for the country, for the world, because they have it?
Yeah, they have it. Of course, my answer is going to be, you know, who am I? I am somebody who stands for commitment and empowerment and courage and clarity and shininess. So of course, I'm going to tell everybody, you are bigger and better than what you know about yourself, because maybe you have never taken the step to go into the infinite realm of possibility and to search for something different. So if you have not experienced that, maybe you are not convinced inside. So maybe that's why. But yes, women, we do need to reclaim the power. We do need to raise our voice. We all have a voice. But of course, the society, how we are raised, you know, moms and dads, they teach us some other stuff. They teach us to just shh. So hush, not to share opinions. They teach us behave, you know, behave. Don't talk too much. Don't know too much. Don't share too much. Because why? Because what are they going to think about you? What are they going to say? What if they don't approve? What if they don't like your idea? What if they have a different opinion? So what's going to happen? So this is the culture. Unfortunately, I'm speaking for Turkey right now because I'm a Turkish woman. This is the culture, how we are raised. Of course, it is changing. I am speaking very generally right now. This is changing, and it is hopeful, and it's going to take maybe a few more centuries to change, to create the change. But the change has to start inside, when especially there are like moms and dads. That's where the change needs to begin. The mom and dad is actually the creator of the human, the creator of this brain, because I am an NLP trainer. So I am a neuroscientist in a way. I mean, I did not study neuroscience in a very academic way, but I studied it occasionally together with psychology, neuroscience, quantum physics, and metaphysics. And I wanted to create something so powerful so that we understand the seriousness of what we are doing. The belief system that we create at home, with moms and dads, with what we believe, that is affecting the whole humanity. That is affecting women. That is affecting us. And that's why I'll tell you right now in front of all of you, dear my Turkish people and international people, when I decided to go back to Los Angeles and follow my heart, you know what I had to do? I had to unlearn stuff. I mean, I met Veronica Ten because I was searching for my answers, right? So like she mentioned, I had to search for my answers outside of the norms, not to another school, not to another place that I am familiar with, something unknown that I can create the change. So that's where I met her like 6 years ago. And I remembered, oh my God, this is exactly what we need. We need fun. We need a little bit flexibility. We need some sort of okayness, like acceptance, because what we do, we judge each other. And women do that too. Women, if you are judging each other, stop doing that. That's why we don't grow. That's why we don't improve. Men never judge each other. They actually make fun of each other. They say, good job. And then they just like back up each other. They empower each other. What we do as women? Oh, you did that? I mean, we just judge each other. So that's just not a good behavior. We need to unlearn all of those things. We need to understand what peace really means, what development really means, what empowering each other really means, so that we can create the change. And that's why it starts within. If you have those childhood programs that you learned from your mom and your father, and they told you not to speak up, if they told you it's not a good idea to share, you learn to judge, and you don't know how not to judge. And I invite all of you to unlearn the judgment, to let go of the judgment, so you can accept yourself. Once you accept yourself, guess what? It's going to be so much easier to accept others. That's where the change begins.
That's so true, and thank you, Shiny. And I believe, Veronica, you more or less, this is what you encourage people in your programs. Yeah. You bring change, you encourage them to change. This change that Shiny is talking about, you encourage them to unlearn things that they are not serving them, and to learn new things that serves them, also helps them to develop, to grow, and to serve other people as well for this growth and development. So how did this come from the beginning? Tell us a little bit more about, because you are a pioneer in the field of growth and how you help people to grow, not only their dreams, but to grow in reality.
Well, we started this business 25 years ago. So over the time, it started with my personal self-discovery, that when I start to search, and I found that, we can be more of who we are, and there's more possibility to life than what we are being given or born with, and that this can be learned. And 25 years ago, we learned only through books or cassette tapes, if those remember. Yeah. So, I'm a grandmother of 3 now, yeah? So we only learn these things through books and cassette tapes, and then chunky videotapes. And the very fortunate ones has a money and time that they fly to, those days were America, where they are the forerunner of personal motivation information, cutting edge information. So we flew to US, we learned a lot from the pioneers of the positive mental attitude, the Norman Vincent Peale, Dale Carnegie, and all that. And we felt that if this thing has helped us to become good at what we do, and we want to bring this back to where we are from, Singapore, Malaysia, Asia, and we convince, of course, some people, speakers of that level, to come to our part of the world to do it at a very affordable price for the mass. So this is our first step of bringing change through education in this area of personal development, self-development. And then we later evolved into bringing information on business development, how to become an entrepreneur, how do you learn to sell, how do you learn to communicate, negotiate. And so we work with world-renowned speakers in the area like Anthony Robbins, who teaches you peak performance, excellence, energy. I mean, we need energy, you know, and in his seminar, it's like 5 days from morning 8 to at night 2, 3 a.m. We don't have lunch break, tea break. You just walk out if you're hungry. But we could discover that we can sustain without even needing food, you know, or just drink a lot of water, and it's all the energy that keep us active. I work with people like Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote the world-renowned book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and we, together with Robert, believes in elevating financial literacy through the program, the books that he has written, because we know that the school education does not teach us enough about money, about investment, and that it's not enough for us when we leave school to make it in the real world. So we continue to grow and teach information like that all over the world. We brought in events like a program called Millionaire Mind Intensive, 3 days of intensive learning on how do you unlearn your money blueprint and then put in new blueprint about what you know about money. And then with the, again, activities that gives you courage to take action. Shani will say, we will make you walk on the fire. We will make you break arrows. It's to walk on glass. We should give you a metaphor that if you can overcome the fear of doing whatever you're asked to do, nothing can stop you. And with the information you learn, the skill you learn, you can go out to the world and practice it, and you get there. You won't stop, you just keep going, you know? Yeah, and we start with that first belief in yourself that you can do it, you want to do it. And then change can happen, and then you start to contribute, changing the people around you, your family, and finally changing the country to make your country strong. And this is what the summit is all about. How do you make ourselves strong, women strong, so that we can serve, we can contribute.
And Denise, I think that these are things that university doesn't teach us.
Yes, but these are things that actually migrant women can teach us a lot from, because they are the women who suddenly find themselves in change. I mean, they are dropped into change, but then they still manage. I mean, we have a tendency to look at migrant women as victims, but in fact, they are empowered. And if you look around in Turkey right now, for example, there are many Syrian migrant organizations, women organizations. And these are the first time these women are getting a hold of their lives, because now they have the circumstances. But imagine being in a totally different culture. Yes, we have religious affinities, but I mean, other than that, they are in a different culture. And also, I mean, 3 weeks ago, I was in Mexico City. I had a chance to visit the caravan. You know, the people who are moving from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador to the United States border. And I saw these women with little kids who walked like kilometers. I mean, that's not a victim. That's an empowered woman whom we should pay respect. That's why I think, I mean, in the academia, yes, you're totally right. We are, at the universities, we are not taught these things. Although in class, I try to encourage my women students to talk more, and I shut the men up. But I think we do have a large space when we look at the migrant women to learn from. And we are missing that when we just, you know, see them only as the victim rather than the empowered agent. And I wish one of them at least could be here in one of these panels to voice themselves.
Denise, in the research literature, a lot of research studies see women as victims.
Yes,
women.
I agree.
When I started to read this literature, I was like in pain. I said, Migrant women are vulnerable, are victims, are poor, are powerless. I said, that's not the truth. And this is what motivated me. I remember 1 year after studying and preparing my literature review, I decided to create a magazine where I can share stories of migrant women, and the magazine is called Migrant Woman. And I wanted to meet all the migrant women that they were in everyday life in my environment. I said, these women don't look like victims. These women look like heroes. Yeah. These women look like they have the courage to go beyond their comfort zone, beyond their borders, beyond their limitations, and they start their life from scratch. And these are migrant women that can teach us resilience,
Exactly.
can teach us that if they want to change their life, they move. They are not a tree. So what do you think about all the studies, the literature review that you probably as an academic has found in your research that is portraying migrant women as victims?
I think now it is changing. Now it is changing, but
Yeah, we are
only now.
changing it.
Yeah, in a very slow motion. But of course, we have to look at things from all sides. I mean, this is what we learn in social sciences. But maybe the sampling is usually the difficult part, because we have a tendency to look at the victimized people. I mean, but at the same time, they're also reality. If you go to Southeast, there are many young Syrian women who are getting married at very early age. And their families are encouraging that. I mean, going back to Shiny's point. Why? Because they think if she's not married to one man, then she will become a prostitute. Maybe getting married in that sense is the better strategy for the family. The fear factor is always there. So I think the most important thing is to be able to find the right sample and show those women who are empowered, who are able to change their environment more than the other stories, because this positive story will also have an effect on the negative one. But we are not doing that. And I mean, academia, it doesn't matter what we say in the literature review. I mean, how many people read the literature reviews anyway? But I think it is the media, I think, who should be doing a better job in presenting the migrant women not as the
Media is
victim.
always searching for statistics, for studies. I remember The Guardian approached me to write an article about migrant women and domestic violence, because there was the month of domestic violence, and they were very interested to see the perspective of migrant women in this phenomenon. And of course, we have to show statistics, we have to show facts, we have to show data, and the media picks up on this. So probably we all can play a role on how we can contribute in development and sustainability, like starting from media, academia, events, even at home, as Shiny said. And I completely believe that, yes, that's the way it has been. We don't need to judge our parents, our past. It has worked that time, and at that time was perfect, but the fact that it worked at that time doesn't mean that we need to embrace the same culture now. And that's why we're changing. Is that correct, Shiny?
That is correct. That is so correct. And I was actually thinking about the topic of I am a migrant woman, but I'm actually a global woman.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? I mean, it does take so much of a courage. You have no idea what I had to go through. I did not know anybody. I did not speak the language. I had no idea where I was. I had no idea what I was going to do. You know what I had? I just had the courage. And that's what I guess the migrant woman, and also from your studies, is representing the courageous woman, a brave woman who is just stepping outside of the comfort zone and say, like, problems, bring it on. Okay, is there going to be some challenge? Bring it on. We can face it. Why? Because we want to live a better life, and you want to become a role model. Everybody wants to unlock their potential, but not everybody can take action. So those of us who can take action and who can get results, then the mirror effect. Then look at the mirror. Well, you are responsible. And then becoming a role model gives so much responsibility. Now you don't have any right to complain. You cannot say, oh my God, I'm so alone in US, it's so hard, it's just like blah, blah. So you just can't. Why? Because you're the role model and you have the responsibility. And this is how the change begins. And for me, going back to the subject of changing my name, because as some of you are still wondering, what is that? So my Turkish name is Burcu, okay? It still exists on my ID. But what I have done something very unique. And 3 years ago, when I became a citizen of United States, I asked my name to be Shiny. Now it is Shiny Burcu Ünsal. And what does that mean and why did I do that? Because I have gone through the migrant mentality, the global woman mentality, and changing everything. I said, you know what? I am a different person right now. So I have to anchor it. I really need to create a new identity with whoever I am right now. So there needs to be a better way to do it. And because I am also a trainer of neurolinguistic programming, so I am a master of programming my neurons with the language, exactly. I applied it to myself and I said, I am going to own my own mission to my name because I stand for shiny minds, shinier minds that are not in the dark, that are not in the fear, that are not in the, I don't know, I'm not good enough space, but the minds that are in the space of, I can do this. I know what it takes and I have what it takes. If I don't, I'm gonna go figure it out. So I stand for this empowerment, and to me, it is shiny minds. So creating shiny minds is my mission. That's why I went ahead and I claimed my name. Ladies and gentlemen, it is on my freaking ID. So call me Shiny. That is how committed I am to create change.
So you recreated yourself.
I did.
You reinvented yourself.
I did, yes.
And Veronica, I know you have credits on helping people to reinvent yourself. And now you're a role model for many. I'm very curious to know, who was your role model?
First, my role model, I have a faith of mine, so I have a role model that is the universe, the God that I have, and I exude the love that our God represents. So reading the good book is one of the way I look towards for answer and direction. Another role model of women will be Mother Teresa, somebody who has, who is so willing to give up what she has in the area of a comfort zone, to be in the poorest country in the world, just to serve, to give, to love. So these are the two sources of my role model. Finally, my role model is also my husband. I look up to my husband as somebody, a hero who has always wanted the best out of me, who always encouraged me to be better, to do more, and has never stopped me from doing the things I love to do. And the best is he allows me to do what I want to do. So I look up to all these role models to propel me to go on and on, traveling around the world, sharing, bringing my kind of seminar programs, platform to different parts of the world to change lives.
And you reminded me, Mother Teresa, she's from my home country.
She's Albanian, yes.
Yes, and she used to say, if you can't change the whole world, start changing one.
Correct.
Yeah. So, no excuses.
Yeah, and Mother Teresa says, a life not living for others is not living. You are only existing. So you need to discover, find out what's your purpose that you are existing, and can you serve others through you, through the things you do. And in order to do that, you need to be strong, you need to be the best at what you do and serve humanity. Yeah.
That's so true. And Denise, knowing that women are those who build communities, and I know you have studied this in your research, what would be your opinion and perspectives how women can get more involved as well? Not because we're building this community, but we stay behind all the time. What do you think makes women staying behind and not having that courage to get at the top, or so to get a microphone and say, hey, I have a voice?
Well, the system, to begin with, we have to break down this whole system. I mean, we have to have a revolution. But also, I think more importantly, our other identities. I mean, look at this room. This room right now should be full of women, but it is not. Why?
Why?
Why? Because I can give examples from the Turkish context. Because in Turkey, we don't only have women. We have conservative women, we have Kemalist women, we have religious women, you know, we have Kurdish women, Turkish women, we have all these different women. So all these other identities are getting, you know, in front of the identity of
are
being
you
a woman.
saying that
Just
women
like
are
Veronica
separated?
said. Exactly, just like Veronica said. I mean, like, we do not encourage each other because our identities are always, you know, coming in front of being the fact of being a woman. Because we all keep on criticizing each other. We don't like what the other group is doing. Ideologically, we cannot, I mean, even with feminism, like, you can, there are many women who are women but who don't like feminism or who don't understand feminism. So we cannot even get along on the same page with certain definitions.
And what do we need to do in order to get to a better place, to understand each other better, and to support each other, and to lift up each other, and also to be united?
We have to start listening to each other and have dialogues. But of course, if we cannot be even present in the same room, we cannot have a dialogue. So we have to start with that.
And another point, Denise, is we organize these seminars for women, these panels for women, conferences. So I have a club that's all about women. Sometimes men ask, are men welcome? And I ask women, say, no, we don't want men in our clubs. I say, why? They have taken enough from us, so no men welcome, please. So what do you think? Is it good not to welcome men in our conversations and just talk with ourselves, or should we involve men in these debates as well?
Well, I think we should involve men, but I'm on that school of thought, because even when I'm teaching like gender courses, I think men also learn a lot in those courses, as much as women, because they have to also start looking at things from a different perspective. So maybe, I don't know, my husband is here, we can ask him.
Okay, that's great. Now you're reminding me another story of Veronica. When I interviewed Veronica, you know what she said to me? That's very interesting. She said, my husband is the general and I am the major. My husband takes the general decisions, I take the major decisions. What do you mean with this, Veronica?
So I'd like to add on to the question of should men be allowed. I think we will have seminars for women only because women we need to talk personal things. And with the men around, the consciousness, this fear all comes about of being fear or being judged. So depending on the topic, there are some topics we like to just exclude women, men, so that women can be at ourselves, that you can bring the best out of who we are, to share, to connect. Now, there are also occasions that appropriately the men must be allowed to be in the room, so that what we really want to know is to listen and hear from the man, what does a man really want? And I still think that now, not on the business level, but I say in the personal level, that we need to know what men want and balance it. If can we give them what they want, then we are working in coexistence in peace. You know, you always say when you make your wife happy, your home is happy. The home is happy, the country will be happy. So, you know, we are always about pleasing. The husband is always about making the wife happy. So I think we should occasionally allow in programs that men can come in and give their opinion so that we can learn from them, they can learn from us. And that's how I feel about it. And how I operate in my family, in my business, I work with my husband together. We run the business together. We started it together 25 years ago. And precisely how we could last to today as a team coexisting is because we have boundaries and guidelines that, this is my area of responsibility, that is yours. Don't tread on my area because then I won't be happy. So we come up with this idea that, because of my previous job in a military outfit, that I say, I'll make you the general of the business of the home, where he looks good, because men likes to look good and be important, be known. So be it, you be the hero, you be the general, and I just stay below you as a major, and you make general decision. The major decision must come to me, So I think that he agrees with it, and we are at peace. So sometimes he does make decision, I don't like it, but so be it. We always settle it at home and discuss it and make the correction. And that's how we lasted 25 years. Is there conflict? Of course. Is it that bad? No. We talk about it and make corrections and move over. I also say that, make your man the head of your family, and we women stay as a neck, because the neck controls the head. See? So he get what he want to be the head, we get what we want to be in control. Isn't that peace?
I believe your husband also is a very clever man, and it's absolutely true. I remember Richard Tan was speaking in the last event, I think about a month ago, and I was looking for our journalist. She disappeared, and then suddenly she comes out of the big room. I said, "Where have you been?" She said, "There is a man speaking on stage, and you know what he said?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "If you want to be successful in life, you have to listen to your wife." I said, "Who is that man?" And I find out that it's Veronica's husband. Yeah. So I completely believe that he's a clever man.
Yeah. So I encourage women, sometimes don't get upset with your man. In fact, there is a trick. You make them the head. And, finally, he will honor you more, publicly, anywhere, that you are his source of success, his foundation, his support for success. We could go on and on. So I love to hear more.
Okay. I have in front of myself, well, you can see we have 22 minutes, but I was just told that is misguiding us because we have only 2 minutes to close it. And Shiny, I was just about to ask you a very, very, big question, but probably we can talk it after, behind the scenes. But a big thing that I wanted to ask Shiny is that you broke all the rules. You didn't become that lazy Turkish lady to marry a rich man and do nothing in life. So, yeah, do you regret that?
Oh, of course not. I mean, my role model is my mom. She's actually in the room, sitting in the front. So she is a teacher. So I grew up with her, and she was always working. So at a time that my father was not working, but my mom was still working. So I always had that role model in front of me that I was going to work. I was going to make things happen. And I always wanted to be a part of something big. And growing up in a very, very small town was not really helping. So I really had to do something.
So one message, one sentence, one message for women who are listening us in this room, but probably will watch our videos. What is a big message, Denise, Professor Denise? What is your message? One sentence message for any woman that is listening to you.
Well, I think we gave too much. We talk too much about being married and husband. You don't have to be married to be a successful woman.
That's a big message. That's a big message.
You don't have to be a mother to be a successful woman. It has nothing. You just be yourself.
You are so right. You are so right. You reminded me Kim Kiyosaki when I interviewed her for the Global Woman magazine. She said a big thing. Ladies, a man is not a financial plan. So Veronica. One big message from you.
My message is that don't be a woman who needs a man, but be a woman a man needs. And you help him to be so successful, make him so great that he cannot live without you. Okay, that's my
My message, actually, it's not only for women, but also for men who are in this room. My message is, let's get rid of this judgment thing. Okay, this is the concept. Let people be. Let them be. Stop judging them. Stop expecting people to behave the way you want them to behave. Just let them be.
Ladies, thank you very much. Denise, Veronica, and Shiny, thank you for sharing your wisdom and everything with us. And I hope you enjoyed our panelists' conversation, and thank you for following us.
Thank you.
pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thank you
Picture?
to our moderator and the panelists. Thank you to our moderator and the panelists for their thought-provoking discussions. May I kindly now invite Mr. Cengiz Özgencil to present a plaque of honor to the keynote speaker, Hajia Aisha Abubakar. Ms. Abubakar, could I invite you onto the stage, please? This year also, Bosphorus Summit has planted a tree in the name of our participants. Mr. Özgencil will be presenting their certificates to our distinguished guests as well. Dear guests, we will be back at 2 p.m. with our panel entitled Preventing Violence in Sports, Fair Play, and law numbered 6222. Thank you.